We are here with Henrik Carlsen, the father of world number one Magnus Carlsen. Henrik, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sure. We have a few questions for you, non-chess questions, also something about you, something about Magnus. We'd love to talk to you a little bit. So the first question we have for you is, first of all, coming to Israel, we already spoke to you last year. You wanted Magnus to come to the last year's tournament, but you're here now. You're focusing on Israel. You're actually in Jerusalem. What are your thoughts on Israel and Jerusalem, on this venue in specifics? I would love to know.
Both Magnus and I have been in Israel 2 times before, but not in Jerusalem. So I was very much looking forward to this opportunity. And I had a nice walk through the center today. And also coming back to this magnificent playing venue, I'm so glad to be here.
Second question that I have for you is looking at the roster of players that we have here with top talents like, of course, Anand as a former world champion, and Svidler and Nepomniachtchi. What do you think of the roster of players that we were able to bring last year and this year? And if you would say that those are like the top tier chess players in the world?
I think last year it was very strong, and to my surprise, you had an even better field this year. You also forgot Eric Geisy, one of the top players in the world. So, I mean, this would have been ideal for Magnus. He was really considering coming, but in the end, he's playing 2 tournaments in December. He's a father just for 2 months, and he ended up sending me instead.
You're mentioning Magnus already considering to play here. I think a lot of fans in the world, and especially in Israel, would love to know if we're expected to see him live playing in live action here in Jerusalem next year.
Yeah, you know, the reason for not coming last year was that the travel advice from the Norwegian Foreign Office was don't go really. This year it was more open, but he had other reasons to stay at home. I think the probability that he's going to play next year, if the travel advice is reasonable, is very high.
Magnus just became a father in September. This is not your first grandson, I know, but congratulations nonetheless. What do you see in Magnus as a father, and if you see any traits that you have as a father that he also has, or that you think is like somewhat lacking in his fatherhood? Because it's a whole new journey for him.
To be totally honest, I think when a child spends as much time on chess like these top players have done, and Magnus has done, you mature in different areas of life at different speed. So the fact that Magnus now married at 34 and got his child at 35 is excellent timing from my point of view, because now he's really a well-rounded grown-up. In addition to being a strong chess player. So I think he was ready to become a father, and he seems to be a very loving and tender father. So I'm very happy for him and for the whole family.
This is really compassionate to hear. I want to take you back, let's say 25 years ago, when you understood that you have such a talented kid and you had to make a very big decision, let's say like LeBron's James' decision to move to the Bay. Let's go back to that decision where you decided, you and your wife, of course, decided to put things aside and go all out on Magnus's talent. What brought you to the place? What was the main factor that you were considering to say, okay, this thing has to be nurtured like in the best way possible, and I need to put everything else aside because I have someone who's going to be like the top number one?
That was not the reality experienced by our family. It had been a dream of my wife and I to do homeschooling for the kids. And the fact that I was in between consultancy works meant that we could take a year off to show the children Europe. So we traveled for half a year through Europe by car, and then from place to place by plane mainly in the second half. And this was kind of a family trip. Yes, it made it possible for Magnus, as he wanted, to play a lot of chess and not have to go back to school very tired immediately after the tournaments. So it was, according to Magnus, very important for his career. But the focus was really on the family and the experience we all had. Because I think at that point, later in life, it's very important not to put any additional pressure on the shoulders of Magnus. I think that is something that some chess players struggle with, expectations from people around them, from the the country they represent, etc. So this was a family trip back when Magnus was 12, and something we all treasured. And the girls talk about it today to the day.
Your top advice is well, you do need to have some expectations, and you don't want to push your kid to be great. Um, you do say that you don't want to have it. You don't want to be too pushy. You don't want to be too straightforward. You don't want to put too much pressure on your kid, because at the end of the day, okay, maybe results are going to come, but there's a price to it as well.
Well, I think for one thing, children are very different, and cultures throughout the world are very different. But as a Norwegian, with a talented young kid, it makes sense to let his passion and curiosity kind of shine and be the driving force. And I think if Magnus had grown up in under the Soviet school, for instance, of chess, he would probably have quit at some point because he was a very independent-minded person, passionate about his certain interests. So for us, it seemed to work out extremely well. But to give advice on a general basis, I'll be a bit careful with.
Magnus is, of course, extremely talented and successful. Your daughter is also a doctor. All your kids are quite successful as far as I know. So you seem to have done a great parenting job. So that surely a lot of parents are looking up to you to understand how you guys have done it. I think it's inspiring what you're saying.
Well, and I've sometimes been asked for advice, and I think it's very difficult to give advice. But I learned one thing with kids growing up, and that is, kids don't listen to what you do. They look at what you say, but they look at what you do.